Here we have this year's large vanilla iPhone. It's the iPhone 16 Plus. You get a large size like the Pro Max, minus a few premium features. So is this phone worth getting? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's see what the iPhone 16 Plus is all about in our full review. The iPhone Plus models are meant for people who want to get a larger iPhone than the vanilla model, but don't want to splurge for the highest tier Pro Max. And with this year's new model, there are a few upgrades. A new chipset, a new ultrawide camera, an action key, and a camera shutter key. The design is familiar, basically the same as last year, with the flat Corning glass back and flat aluminum frame. The only noticeable difference is the camera bump. Rather than a square one with offset cameras, now it's a more elegant vertical arrangement. Like the rest of the iPhones, the 16 Plus has IP68 rated English protection against dust and water submersion to a depth of 6 meters. Like I mentioned, there's an action key now. Last year, this was limited only to the Pro models. You can assign shortcuts to it and launch them on the fly. And a brand new development this year is the hardware shutter key for the cameras, called the camera control key. You can use the camera control to start the camera, and then when you lightly press on the key, the on-screen UI buttons disappear, and you can control the camera just with the key. A double light press on the key opens a menu for various options, which you navigate by sliding your finger. Then the selected option, like exposure, can be manipulated by again sliding on the key. Clicking the key down takes a photo, and press and hold it to take a video. Let's move on. The display of the iPhone 16 Plus is the same as last year, a 6.7-inch OLED with just a 60Hz refresh rate. The iPhone Pro models have gotten a boost in screen size this year, but not so with the Plus. That means that this display is not quite as large as the Pro Max's, but it's still a lot bigger than what you get on the vanilla iPhone. You also get support for HDR10 and Dolby Vision video. A 60Hz refresh rate means that swiping and scrolling appear less smooth here than on the higher-end iPhones, and nearly any other modern smartphone would get you a high refresh rate. The display's large, pill-shaped cutout behaves the same as before with this dynamic island functionality. A black bar extends beyond the cutout to display relevant info, and it provides shortcuts too. This cutout houses the selfie cam and a 3D TOF sensor, which enable Apple's secure Face ID. It's used for biometrics, as there's no fingerprint reader here. When it comes to brightness, the iPhone 16 Plus is slightly improved over last year. We measured a maximum of nearly 900 nits with a manual slider, and this can boost to over 1800 nits in auto mode, excellent for use outdoors in the sun. For audio, the iPhone 16 Plus has a pair of stereo speakers with very good loudness. The sound quality is excellent, with rich output across the board. You can get the iPhone 16 Plus with 128, 256, or 512 gigs of storage, and that's not expandable through microSD card. And the interface of the iPhone 16 Plus is Apple's latest iOS 18. It's pretty much the same experience as the previous OS version, with a few new features and personalization options sprinkled in. We'll be doing a deep dive into iOS 18, and we'll drop a link to that here when it's ready. Let's talk about Apple Intelligence. Like Google and Samsung, Apple is looking to provide its own AI-based features. These include writing tools, summarizations, generating your own emojis, and advanced gallery search, and Siri is more advanced too. However, these features will be released later on via a software update. And because of legal complications concerning privacy, the fate of Apple Intelligence in the European Union is up in the air. And speaking of software updates, you'll get at least 5 years of support with the iPhone 16 Plus. Under the hood of the iPhone 16 Plus is an Apple A18 chipset, which is 2 generations ahead of what last year's model had. It's meant to bring significant improvements in both the raw performance and power efficiency of the phone. In benchmarks, the iPhone 16 Plus indeed performs significantly better, amounting to around 20% higher scores in CPU tasks, and 30% or more improved graphics scores. The performance here is plenty for heavy tasks and gaming too. The thermal management has seen a bit of an improvement as well, and the iPhone 16 Plus was able to sustain a high level of performance throughout our prolonged stress tests. The iPhone 16 Plus has a battery capacity of nearly 4,700 mAh, and it actually has some of the best battery life we've seen from an iPhone. In our testing, the phone earned an excellent active use score of 18 hours and 49 minutes. That's even better than the Pro Max. As ever, there's no charger included in the box, but with a proper adapter, we were able to charge the iPhone 16 Plus from 0 to 55% in 30 minutes, and a full charge took an hour and 39 minutes, about the same as last year. There's also support for reverse wired charging and wireless charging. And now we have the cameras. Just as on the vanilla iPhone 16, there's a 48 megapixel main cam and a new 12 megapixel ultrawide cam, which has autofocus. Daylight photos from the main cam are excellent. They're clean and sharp with plenty of detail. Foliage is well rendered, and the dynamic range is great. With Apple's signature color science, the colors come out natural and there's plenty of contrast. But the results are not as vibrant as what you'd see from some other phones. The 2x digital zoom from the main cam is decent. The results aren't as detailed as the regular shots, but they're quite usable. At night, photos from the main camera come out clean, sharp, and detailed. The color saturation is a bit on the low end, even for an iPhone, but contrast is nice and pictures don't look overprocessed. Shadows look natural, and some light sources look blown out, but other highlights are well contained. The ultrawide camera is decent, producing shots that have plenty of detail, and the overall rendition does well to match that of the main camera. The sharpness and dynamic range are more limited though, which is to be expected from an ultrawide. Since the ultrawide has autofocus, you can take close-up macro shots. These photos are nice and detailed. In low light, the ultrawide does okay. These shots are detailed and contrasty, and the dynamic range is wide enough. The colors are a bit bleak though, and there's some graininess. The 12 megapixel front-facing cam has autofocus and is fairly reliable, producing nice selfies when there's enough light. They have good exposure and wide dynamic range, and the level of detail is great. The iPhone 16 Plus can record videos in 4K with all of its cameras. The main camera produces excellent looking videos with accurate colors, good sharpness, and plenty of detail with good rendition. The contrast and dynamic range are great too. The ultrawide's clips are sharp and detailed with wide dynamic range, and the colors are more lively than those from the main cam. The video stabilization seems to be on point with all of the cameras. No issues there. And low-light footage taken with the main cam is clean and sharp, with wide dynamic range and plenty of details, even in the shadows. So that's the iPhone 16 Plus. We appreciate the addition of the action button and the camera control key, as well as the better chipset, and the battery life here is class-leading. However, besides those things, you get basically the same phone as last year's iPhone 15 Plus, which includes the 60Hz refresh rate display, so it might not be worth the upgrade if you already have one of those. Otherwise, if you need a larger size like the Pro Max without all the fancier features, the iPhone 16 Plus could be worth looking into. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're looking for alternatives, you can check out our reviews of the iPhone 15 Plus and the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.